African nightmare, one-time moment, falling, hullabaloo, and eyes right to the nearest bar. Undermined chairman went too far. Bent on a windfall, went to Sony, wonder how the dollar went down. Gotta get a word to Elizabeth father. Hey, oh, he wished me well. Seems like another day I could fly into the eye of God on high. This burning eye will see me through. One these days, gotta get a word through one these days. This burning eye will see me through. One these days, gotta get a word through one these days. Getting in a mood for a month, that's a night fight. Pushing my luck, I'll fly like a mad thing. Airstrip takeoff, skimming of a rhino. Born in slumberless, then beast. Struggle with a child who's screaming, dreaming. Drowned by the drop, so steely, sunshine. Sick of me. Lust for the feel I've crushed and laid. Like a valuable loved one left unnamed. Seems like another day I could fly into the eye of God on high. Seems like another day I could fly into the eye of God on high. Over the bushland, over the trees. Wise like a orangutan, that was me. It's burning, I will see me through. One these days, gotta get one through one these days. It's burning, I will see me through. One these days, gotta get one through one these days.
like a wedgie. Says who? Says me, the lyrical. Niggas saying Biggie off the street, it's a miracle. Left the drugs alone, took the thugs along with me. Just for niggas acting shifty. Sticks and stones break bones, but they gotta kill you quicker. Especially when I'm drunk off the liquor. Smoking funk by the boxes, packing glocks. It's natural to eat your niggas like chocolates. The funk, baby. All I want is bitches, big booty bitches. Used to sell crack so I could stack my riches. Now I pack gats to stop all the snitches from staying in my business. What is this? Relentless approach to know if I'm broke or not. Just cause I joke and smoke a lot don't mean I don't tote the Glock. 16 shots for my niggas in the pen until we motherfucking meet again. I'm doing rhymes now, fuck the crimes now. Come on the app, I'm real hard to find now. Cause I'm knee deep in the beat. In the Land Cruiser Jeep with the Mac 10 by the seats. For the jackers, the jealous ass crackers in the I make you prove that it's bulletproof. Hold your head, cause when you hit the bricks, I got gin mad blunts and bitches sucking dick. The funk, baby. So I guess you know the story, the rap side.
Hello. Check it out, check it out, check it out. I'm back.
The place where my head rests, 50 shot clip if a nigga want test. The rocket launcher, Biggie stomps ya. The motherfucking that's fuck a misdemeanor. Beating motherfuckers like Ike beat Tina. What's love got to do when I'm ripping all through your whole crew? Strapped like bamboo, but I don't sling guns. I got bags of funk and it's selling by the tons. Niggas wanna know how I live the Mac life. Making money, smoking mics like crack pipes. It's type simple and plain to maintain. I add a little funk to the brain. The funk, baby. The funk, baby. I'm ready for it. Got a store to the mind in the motherfucking house. Mo-B got beats. Bad boy full of fat. Big small. Funk, baby. Machine gun funk, baby. Funk, baby.
Machine Gun Funk. Shout out to Biggie Smalls, March 9th. Am I too close to the mic? Maybe I am. Nobody's watching anyway, right? Check, 1, 2. Feels like my mic is a little low here, but hopefully it's alright. But here we are. Let me stop this. Shout out to the notorious what? Shout out to the notorious B.I.G. March 9th. He was killed March 9th, 1997, I believe. So this is like Biggie Smalls' day. This is the day that P. Diddy used to party his ass off, but he's probably not doing that right now. I think he's incarcerated, but that's not what we're about here. Checking out Level Up the Coding Show. Let's flip this and flip that. All right, we're live. Just here. All right, welcome in. This is episode 0 of Level Up, the coding show, and I still feel like my mic is not right. Make some adjustments here. It's the cool thing about doing a stream show that nobody watches is that you can kind of do your background production while the show's going on. Yeah, looks alright. I guess once people join, they will tell me whether it sucks or not, the audio. I hear background noise and shit, but it is what it is. Alright, yeah. Whoa. Welcome in. This is Level Up the Coding Show. My name is Dean Greer. I am your host, and I'm going to be your host for the duration. So I'm doing the show Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And in this show, I'm going to give you a little rundown of what the show is generally going to consist of, why I'm doing the show, and I'm going to give you an introduction to myself, and I'm going to do some live coding. That's what we got in store for this one. But yeah, I'm going to be doing this show Mondays at 7 p.m. kind of for the duration until, once a week until I can't do it. Like if I've got an engagement or whatever, or, something happens, I have to miss one, whatever. I'll probably do other live streams at other times, but I'm going to keep this Monday 7 p.m. rolling so you'll know where to catch me at this time. So it's going to be like a regular deal. So, guess I'll get into things here. Or maybe I'll wait for people to show up. Again, like the thing about doing a live stream where nobody's watching, I can just sit here and do nothing for a while. Because, nobody's watching. Maybe you'll catch this on the replay or whatever off of YouTube. You'll just have to fast forward this part. This is the awkward part. The mic is screwing up. All right, I want to tell you what you can expect from this show. Again, Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Probably said it 4 or 5 times already, but it's going to be a place to talk about coding. Initially, I want to give you an idea of what to expect here. What are we going to do during this dang show? Going to have some rotating segments. I'm going to come up with segments. This is going to be a real show. It's there are going to be some elements of it that are stream-like, and that there'll be pauses. There'll be situations where I'm kind of not sure what I'm doing, but as time goes on, I'm going to make this more and more like a real show, and really beef up the entertainment value and give you really what you need. And to that end, I'm going to have rotating segments where I'm an online teacher. I teach coding online, so I'm going to be doing teaching on coding topics. I teach Python, Java, C++, C#, and other computing topics because I have a background as a systems administrator. I did that for a long time, 15 plus years and 20 years really in IT previously. So that was my previous career. So I've got a hell of a lot of knowledge back there, and I love to teach. So I'll be doing a lot of teaching. Talk about computer history. Like, I don't know how much talk there is about computer history these days, but I think it's essential to knowing how we got here and the cool stuff from the past. There's so many languages, so many stories from the past, and like the lineage of things, of systems, of protocols and things, like how we got here. It's pretty cool. So I want to cover some history with you because I love computer history, and really this is about giving what I love to you guys. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. I've been around this stuff for a while. I'm pretty good, pretty knowledgeable, whatever. I want to spread that knowledge, spread that passion with you. Presentations on coding topics, whether it's like talking about a certain language or a certain aspect of our language, or certain libraries, modules, blah, 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 trends in a certain language. I'm going to talk about, I'll prepare various things. And of course, live coding. I think that a lot of the show will be live coding, and a lot of the show is going to be live coding today, where I'm gonna go into Code Wars. I've picked out some exercises. I'm gonna do a few of them, and hopefully people will chime in, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm gonna have some segments here, and really this is the first segment. The first segment is me telling you what to expect from the show. The next segment I'm gonna do pretty soon is gonna be an introduction to myself for y'all. Here's something else you can expect. Interaction and updates. Talk about what I'm doing lately. Not that everything's about me, but until I get to know more of you, I only have myself to talk about, right? But realistically, I want to build a community here. So eventually it's going to be about what I'm doing and what you're doing. And hopefully you guys will join up and talk more, and we can get that rolling. Discussions about coding topics between me and you. And eventually, as I build the network and some people join up, I want to have guests during the show. People can hop in via Zoom, and I can interview people. Like we can actually do coding sessions together on Zoom and broadcast it out to y'all for the masses, so to speak. So I think that'll be a really cool thing when we get there. I do have some people that I know in the sort of, because it's so many people do it. It's like saying the basketball. I know some people out there, and I may tab some of my sort of colleagues or former students to come on as guests. People tend to be nervous with this stuff, but why would you be nervous? Nobody's watching, right? So there we go. And really, this show's going to be kind of simple. Like, that's kind of what I'm doing. It's about teaching, presenting, doing live coding, talking about history and whatnot. And let me check on this thing. Looks like there's an error here with the stream. Let's check this stuff out. Checking things out just to make sure I'm still going out. I don't know if the stream is actually active right now. Looks like it is, but I'm going to check it out for a few minutes. Looks like my internet's really slow as well. Actually, my pings look really good. Let me check out the live section. View your channel. Channel. Looks like I am live. Alright, that's cool. Looks like there's a delay. Alright, so this is kind of the last point with this show is, and really this could be the whole thing, I want to share my passion for computer programming and computing in general with all of you. Build a community, interact, talk about this stuff, teach you, have you teach me, and to that end, this is what I'm going to do. And these are the things that I'm going to do. So that's what you can expect from this show. The next thing I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about myself. I've prepared a little slideshow for you. I know you're going to love it. And here we go. Alrighty there, I'm going to take a minute here, given that this is the first episode, to run through my story a little bit for you, to tell you a little bit more about, or tell you a little bit about me, because you probably don't know who the hell I am from Adam, you know. So first episode, a good chance to introduce the show and introduce me as well. And my name is Dean Greer. I'm going to be the host of the show. I created the show, so yeah. I'm an online technology trainer. Really, I teach coding online in the languages of Python, Java, C++, C#, and there's more to the story. This is Level Up the Coding Show. Let's get into it. So I want to take you to the beginning, and sometimes I don't even remember this is how things happen, but initially my fascination with computers and computer technology really began with video games. You know, when I was a kid, you know, and people who grew up in the 80s and 90s, like that was the beginning of the console era, where early 80s you had the Atari, mid 80s you had Nintendo, and then on to Super Nintendo, PlayStation, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. But you know, when I was a little kid with the Atari and into the Nintendo era, like just had this fascination with these electronic worlds, and just sitting down and looking at the TV, and I found like a cool thing was that you put in a different cartridge, it plugged you into a different world. Like you put in Pitfall, you were like in some jungle adventure. You put in Pac-Man, you're in this maze. Even though it looked like shit, it was like, well, nowadays it looks like shit, but back then to like a 5-year-old or whatever, like it was amazing. But just plugging in there and it's being immersed in that, and then being able to like control the guy on the screen was just so fascinating for me. So like little kid into the Atari, like getting a little bit older, Nintendo came around, and I was playing Punch-Out!, Super Mario, really all these games, like Legend of Zelda, as you see on the screen there. Like, it was just amazing. And so I loved playing the games, and I was thinking, like, how do these things get created? And I didn't really get that answered until much later, probably in my early, like, near pre-teen years or whatever. I didn't even know how these things were developed. But really the fascination, let me say it correctly, started there. And there's more to the story, obviously. And yeah, I'm kind of leaving out pieces, obviously, because I'm really doing this in a kind of discrete chunks. But, like, you know, I had the fascination early on, and then as I went on, it was like, maybe in my early preteen years, there was a friend that I had where I'd go over his house and play PC games, like, really like the Sierra games, like the Leisure Suit Larry, King's Quest. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember these text-based games, but they were just awesome too, where you could type in and have the guy do something different. And really, the Leisure Suit Larry games were crazy, like very outlandish stuff for like a 11, 12-year-old to be seeing, like sex stuff and drinking and stuff like that. But, like, it was really cool to go into that world and be able to type anything and either have the guy do it or have it give you some weird response, like he can't do that. But anyway, I started to realize that, yeah, computers and code were how people created video games. So I became fascinated with computers. And when I was a kid, having a computer was just a no-go. You know, like, my parents weren't into that, and it was just not a possibility. But I had a fascination, and I really had a dream of having my own PC when I was like 12 or 13 years old. And it never happened, until I was an adult. But, like, the seed was planted. I was like, one day I want to write my own stuff, I want to write my own games. But I didn't really get there until I was a young adult in terms of, like, having my own computer. So now we get to this slide. I was in the Navy when I was a young adult. It was really like my first real job. I went into the Navy in 1997, and I was a radioman in the Navy. And as a radioman, they actually had us train in basic computer troubleshooting and learning computer components, network protocols, and actually some basic programming. I think actually using the language BASIC, like QBasic back in the day. And so that just learned this basic computing stuff. And that's really where things started for me in terms of, like, having access to a computer and learning how they worked. Until then, I had no fucking idea how things worked on computers. I could use it somewhat, but, like, I had no idea of the behind the scenes. Some weird flickering going on over there. But some people have popped in and out. But anyway, I learned really for the first time, this is how they work, and this is what you can do with them. And that sparked a fascination further. So now we can fast forward and go to the next slide, or not fast forward, but forward. Obviously, eventually I got out of the Navy because I'm not in there anymore. But when I got out of the Navy, the first idea I had for a career was going into computing, somewhere in IT, really because it was the early 2000s, and it was really the first internet boom. Like, the tech bubble was happening around, 2000, 2001, so everything was about the internet and about computers. Obviously it is now, but, like, it's more like, nowadays it's more about, it's saturated and everything's about platforms more than, like, simply the internet itself. The internet now is just a fact of life, so it's not new. It's more about different platforms, whether it be, YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. It's about platforms, or Google these days. But back then, it was just simply having a computer and connecting it to the internet was just, it was the shit. Like, people were just gaga over that idea, and so computing was the thing, and people were getting into IT really by the truckload, I guess you could say. And my fascination with computers brought me into it. I trained myself in everything at that time. Got into programming, got into hacking, read 2600, Linux, Windows. Like, I was ingesting all of it, just like whatever. And I wanted to get into whatever, like any job in computing would do. And eventually I got into really the lowest barrier to entry, which was being a PC technician. I got into that because that was the easiest thing to get into at the time, and I got my A+ certification. And speaking of 2600, I actually have a copy of 2600 on my desk here, right there. So I'm still reading 2600 to this day, and I got like 20 years of copies now. But I was taking it all in. And so I trained myself in all these things, and I eventually got into the field. I started as a PC technician and as at a PC store, actually. That was an interesting job. And I proceeded to kind of do that for nearly 20 years. Not a PC tech in a store, but like in various roles in IT. Started as a PC technician in a store, and then that eventually rolled into desktop support roles elsewhere. I eventually got a job at a private school being a computer support person, and then that turned into network administration at that same school where my boss left and I became the network administrator. That got me into systems administration, and then I got a job as a sysadmin, then another job, and then that rolled into really my last job as a sysadmin, which was working at an architecture firm for 8 years as a systems administrator for one large office and a satellite office in New York. And I didn't even talk to you about location. At this time, I was down in the Washington, D.C. area doing all this stuff. So I'm really kind of from that area. I'm not there right now. Right now I'm in Maine. But that's where I was doing all this cool stuff. And then I made a switch where I was doing the rat race job thing, city thing in DC for a while. I liked my work, I liked the subject, but I didn't like things surrounding it, and I was not in a good place at the time in terms of like my mindset, my kind of taking care of myself, my level of gratitude and things like that. So I decided on a life shift. I moved to Maine from the Washington, D.C. area in 2019, decided on a reset, and I decided to start a business eventually. And in 2022, I launched my training and tutoring business, which is what I do right now. I train people around the country in computer programming and computer coding. I teach Python, Java, C++, C#, to students around the U.S. and in a few countries outside. I've taught a few people in Caribbean countries, and I think one person in Canada. But it's been a lot. It's been hundreds of people over the years. So it's been 4 years. So can't remember everybody, but at a moment's notice. But it's been a good ride. It's been fun, and that's where we are now. And decided to start Level Up the Coding Show to kind of share what I've been through with you in terms of knowledge, skills, experience, and funny shit as well. Just, you know, share it with you and talk about it. Straight up, straight up. So that is my story. What we can do now is I'm going to get into some coding because we're nearly 30 minutes in here. I've picked out some Code Wars exercises to dive into, and we're going to do them, goddammit. If anybody's actually out there, give me a shout in the chat as I pick the first exercise. As you might guess, I'm going to do the easiest exercise first, though, out of the ones that I've picked. And Python here. And I'm going to put the link to this one in the chat. Sort. There you go, there you go. Alright, let's dive in here and do some coding. I'm gonna take a little time to check this one out again, and then I'm gonna start doing some fucking coding, I guess, yeah. Obviously off topic, but anybody out there watching the World Baseball Classic tonight? USA versus Mexico. I'm a big baseball guy, so just checking. Kind of deciding here on how I'm going to set up I think I'm set up now. Yeah, so this one seems pretty simple. It is, you're given, I'm going to do it in Python. You're given a list, and you're going to eliminate the elements of the list that are not more than the previous element. And you're really going to go element by element and say, this element is not greater than or equal to the previous, remove it. It's going to remove in place, so it's not like you're copying to another list, you're going to remove it in place. And that's it. Alright, I'm ready to dive into this sucker. Sucker motherfucker. First element always survives, so yeah. And if it's empty, you're going to return empty. I think I'll get the empty out of the way first. That's easy. So basically the idea here is loop and remove elements. I'm thinking about how should I actually do the loop? And this is a very basic idea too. It's like when you're thinking about it on a live stream, and you're trying to talk through as you're thinking, it's going to take longer, right? So I'm taking a little bit here. I'll try something I hadn't really done before. this one it says you don't return because it modifies the array directly. This is actually a condition I've never done before in Python. So let me see if this yeah, it'll go out of range as it pops. Probably doesn't work either. Yeah. Surprised that worked. At least for the simple tests. So it's supposed to return none for empty. There we go. First one in the books completed. First exercise, first episode. Done. This will go down in history, right? It's kind of, there's some toughness here, and I think it could probably be done easier than this. I don't know if anybody is watching who's in the know, but this is probably not the, it's probably a more seamless way to do this, but I start on the second element and then I loop the length of the list, and if the current element is less than the previous element, I get rid of the current element and then I shift I backwards. So that, because when you pop, basically you're going to shift all the elements anyway. You're going to shift the elements, and you don't want to skip an element. So I pop, then I shift I backwards, and then I do the regular shift of it forward. So I'm not skipping anything. But if you want a real explanation of this, let me know in the chat. If not, I'll move on. But because if you don't understand what I was just saying, you need like a real breakdown where I like give you a sample and then really go through the process step by step here. But this is really a technique that you can use in Java as well. But enough babbling. This is I got it. It finished. Yeah, I'm eager to see some of the other submissions because, like I said, this feels laborious. I feel like there's a cleaner way to do it. There's always a cleaner way to do it, isn't there? So this one just deletes. So it's overly verbose, which is kind of Alright, looks like I didn't need to do the shift. Maybe it's because of the way Python works, which I wasn't sure. I'm gonna go back in there and try the refactor here. If I get rid of this, looks like it's fine. Okay, if you got the current one's not greater, get rid of it and always increment. Okay, so that one was necessary if you're doing pop. The shifting isn't necessary. Constant buzzing. Yeah, I was just thinking through the inner shifting here, because you shift backwards so that you don't skip over the one that shifts over when you pop. When you pop, you don't leave a hole, the elements shift over to the left, and then if you don't shift I by moving it backwards, it's going to jump over the one that took the slot of the one you just deleted. So that's how it works. If you're thinking along with me. If you're not, you're not, and it's over your head. But I'll move on to another one. So I'll do this one in Python as well. Here's the link for the next one, even Fibonacci sum. think I'm going to take this idea into my own IDE just to flesh out the Fibonacci generation sequence. Because I haven't done it in a while, my friends. Let's say n is 40. Fibs. That looks about right. Although there is one number greater than 40, so that it doesn't get tested until after that happened. That's why. That's actually okay. I can still use this to solve the kata. Yeah, I guess I can go with this. This is fine. Looks good to me. Now it's just grabbing the evens from that list that are less than n, basically. Do something like this. I think that'll work. I think I could just do this. That looks good. That looks good. Impressive. Diggity dope. Didn't think that would come together that quickly. I guess for anybody that's interested, I'll explain here really quick. I'm getting no real love in the chat, so I don't know if anybody's watching, but if you are, I'll make a list with the first couple of Fibonacci numbers, and I also create variables with the first couple of Fibonacci numbers. I'm putting the Fibonacci numbers into a list so that I can get the evens out of that list. With this while loop, I'm going to generate the Fibonacci sequence up to n, whatever n is. It's really going to go one more than n because of the way it's running. So at the conclusion of the loop, I'm going to have a list of the Fibonacci sequence up to actually like at least one more than n. So I've got that. then I'm using here list comprehension, and I'm separating out the evens and less than n because I'm going to have one probably in my list that is more than n. So I've got to do that. I'm creating a list of the evens, and I'm getting a sum of that list. There we go. It is the coding show, and this is where you level up by watching me. And of course, you can talk to me too if you want to tell me how inefficient my stuff is, or how wrong I am, or how non-Pythonic it is, or whatever you want to say. Or if you want to say something positive, it's all good. But I don't know if you're out there if you don't say nothing. I'm gonna just keep doing my thing. Okay, I see this one is pretty smart, where you're not creating a data structure. You're just doing the sequence, I guess, in a smarter way. And then, well, I think this is the generator of the sequence right here, these two, or this line. And then if that next result is even, you're going to add it to the sum. If not, you're just going to keep looping and getting the next number in the sequence. Cool. Oh yeah, I see what's happening here. This is a cool thing you can do with Python, where it's the swapping mechanism, where you have x and y, really like your next or your previous two Fibonacci numbers, and so you take your value of y and put it into x, and then your x plus y and put it into y. This generates really the next number in the sequence. That x plus y gives you the next number in your Fibonacci sequence. I see that. And now you probably see it too, because I highlighted it. All right. Well, I looked at one solution here. I feel like doing some more. That one's knocked out. Looks like I'll be doing one more here. Next one will be musical pitch classes. What is going on here? Musical. I will drop this one into the chat as well. I'm making weird faces and looking at them on the on my console over here, because I can see myself, of course. Alright, here's the next one. I think this will be the last one I'm gonna do. Musical pitch classes. So it appears with this one we are translating this musical pitch class to an integer, and this is really the initial piece here where it's like it's telling you what each one is, and then there's modifiers where there's a modifier for sharp where the sharp is going to increment it by 1, and the B, I believe, is going to take away 1. And my name is Dean Django Mango. Dean Greer. What is your name? But yeah, it's about modifiers. So this should be, I guess I'll say simple, but you never know. I think I do know, actually. I guess the only real thing here is that when you have the value of 0 that goes backward, it cycles back to 11. So like C, I guess, is 0. So it's going to go back to 11. But that's child's play, my friend. Let's go. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Django Mango. Watch me do some Python code here. They got the funny function header here. I almost say method because I'm thinking Java, but they get the funny function header. So looks like it's supposed to return an integer or none. I think that's what that means. I'm not up on the cool function headers. I'm more classic minded. Looks like we're just going to get one string a piece here. Looks like I will just create a dictionary with these. I think I'm gonna drop some music here in the background and see how that sounds. Maybe I'll listen to it, listen to the recording sometime after, but seems a little dead sort of in here for more reasons than one, right? like that. Chickity check 1 2. That's how we do. 1 1. Here we go with the flow. I don't know. Yo. Live TV, folks, just trying shit out. When you're not monetized and nobody's watching, you can do all kind of stuff. Is this formatted correctly? Alright, so I'm going to be given a note, which is a string, and then I'm going to check the length of it and like see if there's another character to check, because the second character is going to be the key to, like, if I need to modify it, right? Check it out now. This is real entertainment, right? You guys are getting your money's worth. Yeah, so I just check the length, and for invalid input, you just return none. So I guess I can check the invalid input first to be like, notes 0, not in, no, if note 0, how about this? It don't seem right that they don't get my theme right. This is a Del the Funky Homo Sapien beat, in case you are wondering. It is from his second album. The name of the song is In and Out. In one ear, right out the other. Go tell your sister, go tell your mother. Word to your mother. I see that I'm losing viewers because of what I just did, right? The niggas is leaving. My picture is jacked up. Usually if I stop and restart it comes back. Don't know how to to get rid of it and bring it back. There you go. All right, let's finish this thing. So what I did here is if it's empty, if what is empty, right? If the string is empty, I guess, but actually, this should be just note. So if the string is empty or the first character is not in this dictionary, return none. That's what's happening there. Can the two people who are out there hear me okay? I feel like my audio is low still. 1 2 1 2. Check. 1 2 1 2. Here we go. 1 2 1 2. How we do? 1 2 1 2. This is not a bad rapping stream, I promise. This is a coding stream. The length of note is 1. I am going to simply return the integer value. That's going to index into the dictionary, returning the integer value. If the length is 2, the length is 2, it means it probably has the modifier, so then I'll check for the modifier, the sharp modifier. Sharp, sharp. If it's sharp, it's going to be +1. Yep, sharp's +1. Note 1 +1. And then else elif note 1 equals the B. This is going to be a -1 unless it's less than 0. If note 0 is not C, then we're simply going to return -1. If it is C, we're just going to return 11. All right, we check for sharp, check for B, and the else would be nothing. We return none, because that would be an invalid character. Yeah, really the thing to do when you have a bunch of branches is to ensure you really need to double check and make sure that all of the possibilities have been handled. All the possible pathways have been handled here. So I'm going to go through those before I try to submit this. So with this one, if the string is empty or the first character is not in the dictionary, you bail out. You return none. If the length of the string is 1, we're going to return the value associated with that key. Otherwise, if the length is 2, we're gonna check if it's sharp. If it's sharp, we add 1 always. If the second character is B, it gets a little thicker in that if it's B, then we check if the first character is C. If the first character is C, no, sorry, if the first character is not C, we're going to subtract 1, return it. If it is C, we return 11. And those are actually the only possibilities here. I think we've already ruled out it's going to be a valid character here. So then this last else is going to be may not be necessary, but it's kind of like it's a fail-safe kind of cover your ass kind of thing. But I don't think it's necessary. All right, I ran through it. Let's run it. Let's see where we are here. None should equal 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. Maybe this is harder than I thought. Let's check the dictionary first and ensure that it's set up correctly. Looks like it's returning none too much, like in this case. And yeah, when you're troubleshooting these, you should really look at the test case that resulted in the bad thing. So I'm just going to isolate on this first one. You have a single character D should equal 2. Let's see where that's failing in my code. So if not note, or note 0 is not in notes, oh yeah, that's where it's failing. I know what's up. I've got extra spaces in these strings, so they're not going to match. So let me get rid of that. Oh, too bad, so sad. All right, try it again. All right, well, got 1 pass. Key error, I think I know what that is. Yeah, the sharp is not a key, so I need to be index 0. And this should be also index 0 because you gotta always index with index 0 because that's all of these keys would be index 0 of the string. If you're following along here. And we got it. Well, initially. Yeah. Yeah, don't count your chickens too early. I tend to do that a lot when I pass the initial test, hit the attempt, and I got failures. So I've still got some stuff to correct. So B sharp 12 should equal 0. B sharp. So it's all B sharp, I think, is the errors. So I'm not handling B sharp correctly. Let's dive in. Note +1. Note 0 +1. It should be handled here. And why is it not? B is 11. Hello there, sir. How are you? What is your name? My name is Dean, if you can't see that already from my channel name, but my name's Dean. Nice to have you on the show. This is a coding show. The show is called Level Up the Coding Show, appropriately. And it's going to be a weekly show that I do. And right now I'm doing Code Wars exercises. I'm actually on my last one. And the other ones are in the chat that I've done. And this one's called Musical Pitch Classes. A link to it is also in the chat. This is a Python exercise. I'm trying to troubleshoot an issue. Oh, I know what it is. This is pretty obvious. B sharp, it doesn't go to 12, it goes to 0. That's what it is. So just like it wraps around. That's what it is. So to put a little note in here. For note 0 is not equal to B. You gonna do this. If it is equal to B, you're gonna return 0. I think that might do it. That one had already passed before. And there we have it. Guess this one ends up being a little convoluted with all of the ifs and elifs, but actually there's only one elif, but this would be kind of a first draft of the code, where I'm sure I could refine this to where I didn't have to spell it out this way. But really my process is when I do a rough draft of getting a problem done, it's usually very spelled out and very kind of like everything's out there. There's nothing kind of hidden, where I'll spell it out like this and then I can refine it later. But later may not come, you know, because I may not do this again. So many exercises and so little time, right? Not really. Alright, so we got musical pitch classes done, and you see mine is like 10 lines, and you see an individual doing it in really 2 lines. such a benefit looking at these other solutions. So you do it your way, and then you see all these different ways that people do it. This is where a lot of the learning comes into play. Super cool. And there's mine. 200 lines. It works. It's also very easy to explain. Like, you can run through this code with somebody very easily, but you may run into some issues trying to explain this one to people. So my code is at least good for teaching, which is appropriately what I do. So my coding style suits my my profession, right? But people, that is going to be a wrap on it. Enjoyed saying hello to a couple of people. Enjoyed running through 3 exercises, and been streaming for about an hour and a half now at least. And it's time to wrap it. And this is the end of episode 0, the first episode of Level Up, the coding show. I'll be here every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern U.S. time to talk to you about code, do some code, teach you what you do and you don't know about coding. Maybe you can do a little teaching of me as well. I encourage feedback and discussion. We're going to get into all that. We're going to build a community here, and it's going to be fun. We're going to share our passion for coding and computing together. That's it, folks. Stream out. And with that, I am out.